What's going on, everybody? Adam here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Pace Edwards Switchblade hard retractable tonneau cover on our 2018 Chevrolet Silverado. So if you're wanting a secure tonneau cover that's going to keep everything safe, if you have a locking tailgate like we do here, it's going to keep everything nice and protected on the inside. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. We're going to have aluminum slats on the bottom, but it has the nice vinyl texture up top. So it gives you the look of a soft tonneau cover, but the security of a hard tonneau cover. Depending on what you use your truck for, if you usually have a bunch of expensive tools or sporting equipment in the back, or you're just going on a long trip and you want to have as much space in there so it's comfortable, it's going to do a great job for that. But if you want to get a ladder rack, this isn't going to be the tonneau cover for you because it does cover up our stake pockets on the end. We have a bunch of different options on our website. Two that I like, the Retrax 1XR is going to sit up on top here, but it's going to have accessory T-slots. So you can have the Yakima Overhaul HD up on top of here, or if you want to get the Thule sliding rail track rack, you can grab the backflip MX4. That's going to keep the stake pockets open. Once it's all set up properly, it's really easy to do. We just have these two little levers down here. We're going to pinch these, just kind of send her back. So if you set it up properly, it's going to do it all by itself, and it all stores in that nice little canister up by the bulkhead of your bed of the truck. The canister doesn't take up a whole lot of room in the bed of the truck. It's about 13.5 inches from the bulkhead to this point here, and it's only going to be about a foot deep. So you can still slide some stuff underneath here, and we're really not going to have a whole lot of room taken up in the bed. One thing I really like about this is it's not going to cover our back. So with the backflip MX4, when you fold it up, or any folding tonneau cover, a lot of the times you're going to have a little bit of vision that is going to be blocked by this, but with the Switchblade, we don't have that issue. Whatever water does get collected, it's going to go down in this canister, and then we have a tube, so it's all going to get redirected down to keep everything on the inside of the bed nice and dry. That's really nice whenever you have some electronics like tools, or maybe something else like laptops if you're going on a long trip, so your bags are going to stay nice and dry. I really like how easy it is. It's super simple. You don't need much strength at all, so even the kiddos can close the tonneau cover if they wanted to. But the installation process isn't too difficult, but it isn't as easy as this is to retract because it's super simple. But we're gonna go over those steps with you to make it a little bit more easy for you. Once you get the tonneau cover out of the box, you can take the canister like this and make sure the section that's gonna pull out is gonna be facing this way. And then what we can do, you kind of grab it, we can put it up towards the cab. Make sure the rails are clear, of course. I'm going to back this up all the way to the end. Now we can take care of our rails. What you want to do is make sure you're going to have the right side. And on one side, you're not going to have a hole, and on the other side, you're going to have a threaded hole. And this is what's going to line up with this little hole over here. So we're going to put it kind of like this. It's going to go up against the rails. We're going to slide this in. Might have to lift up on the actual tonneau cover part. So the tonneau cover, we want to go in this little slot right here, this little section. And this is the hole we want to line up with. Just kind of lift it up a little bit, slide it in, and it should line up pretty well. Then we're going to take our hardware. It's going to be a little bolt, a lock washer, and a washer. And we can find the hole underneath, get it threaded in, and you can take a 7/16 to tighten it up. Now's a good time to close your tailgate just to make sure that it's not going to be too tight, and we're going to be able to get the tailgate closed before we put on all of our brackets. This way it's nice and exactly where we want it, and then we'll put the brackets in place to get it nice and secure. It's good time to familiarize yourself with the hardware. Everything's kind of going to be the same. These are the same, these are the same. This is going to go on one of the brackets, and these are where the differences lie. So we're going to have one bracket here, one's going to have this little section, and one is not. So what you want to do is you see these little notches here, and there's going to be a little plate, and right next to that little plate there's going to be a little slot to where we can get this put into place. I found that it's best to get the back in first, and then it should snap in. And then once we do that, we're going to go and back it up against the plate. Just like that. We're going to take our other piece here, and this big section is going to go over this section. We want to make sure that it's going to be able to flap towards the bed. Kind of line that up. Put it into place. Once that's in place, we can take our little knob here. We're going to grab a lock washer and a normal washer. We're going to put that through this hole, through both brackets, just like this. And then we're going to take this and put it towards the very back and start tightening it down. I'm not going to completely tighten this down, just make it nice and snug for now, and we'll tighten it completely once we get the other bracket installed. Now at the tailgate end, we're going to install our kickstands. So these are just going to give it extra support, so these aren't going to be sagging in. And we're going to utilize this little hole back here. So take the wing nut and the washers off. I'm going to put those through, and then you can replace them. Just like that. And then put our wing nut back on. With a drop-in liner like we have today, it's a little bit more difficult to get this all lined up and threaded on. To make it a little bit easier on yourself, what you could do, you kind of move this bracket a little bit farther to get a little bit more room. So now we want to go ahead and take our anchor and we want to line it up. We don't want it to be sitting at an angle. We want to make sure it's nice and flat up against whatever surface we're using. So what I'm doing, since we have a drop-in liner, kind of push in on this and push up to get the rail nice and level. So then it's really easy to kind of get it in place. You can do majority of the movement like that, but once you get to the hard turns, you can make the little adjustments with this to make sure the rail is nice and flat running across all your rails. We're going to do that same exact process, but towards the cab of our truck. We're going to use this bracket with the extra little bump here, and we're not going to be using an anchor. It's going to be the same thing. We have a little indention here, and we want to slide it towards this little silver bracket underneath the rail. So now you can take your pull strap, get it loose, and you can pretty much put it wherever you want. You can put it down here on a tie down, and it has some hook and loops to where it's just kind of ready to go. So you can grab it whenever you're standing on the ground behind your truck, or you can go ahead and loop it through this bracket, whatever's easiest for you. But today, I'm just gonna put it down here. It's a little bit closer to the end of the truck. And then we're gonna have this little packet, and this is going to let us lubricate the inside of these rails. So we'll take it and we're gonna go on the inside. We're gonna go in and we're gonna go up against the rail. We're gonna do this on both sides. This is just going to help it slide a little bit better, so it's a little bit smoother whenever we're closing it up or opening the tonneau cover. For our cover, all we're gonna need is the 4 black machine screws that come with the kit and a Phillips screwdriver. So there's an arrow, cab side, pointing towards it, so be sure to line that up. Just plop it down, and you can see the little screw holes right there that we're going to go in. So you can line that up. And then take our screws, go down in there, line it up, tighten it down. It's gonna be the same thing for all 4 screws. Tonneau covers tend to collect water, so they do include some drains. And as you can see, they're not perfectly circular. We have these little tabs. So on both sides, right here and the other side, what we're gonna do is push up in and twist to lock them into place. And per the customer's request, we're going to just go ahead and put it down in here. So it's gonna go underneath, but it will drain in these holes here. But if you really want it to go straight out, you will have to drill some holes. So just go ahead and put that in. So now we want to make sure everything's working properly. We want it to be easy to pull out, and also we want it to go back on its own. So if you're not having that luck, like you're seeing here, there's a couple things we can do. So you want to check and see if your rails are nice and flat. If they're a little too up or a little too down, it might make it a little bit more difficult. And you can make the adjustments here. And if it's not the issue, there is some shims in here. So maybe these rails are maybe sticking in a little too far or not enough. So you can either take the shims out that are in there, or they do give you some extras so you can add some as well. Whatever it is, but what your goal is to be able to completely pull it in pretty easily and retract on its own. And of course, you want to make sure that the tailgate shuts. And that'll do it for a look at the Pace Edwards Switchblade Hard Retractable Tonneau cover on our 2018 Chevrolet Silverado 1500.